Don't underestimate this invisible thread. The smaller it is, the more energy it has. This is the nanofilament invented by Professor Wang Miao. Nanofilament is a kind of nanomaterial. It cuts iron like clay. It's 1/10 the thickness of a hair. Once the nanofilament is laid parallel to the river, it can cut through a ship. They're trying to get the hard drive information from the ship. Experts have tried everything but they can't get it to work. Like ball lightning and nerve gas, they only work on a small scale. The rest of the crew still had time to destroy the hard drives, and a neutron bomb would knock out the entire ship, but it also destroys the hard drives. While military experts were at their wits' end, Captain Sure came up with a bold idea. They could use nanofilament to cut through the ship. This idea was approved by all the experts. The only problem is that the amount of nanofilament is limited. After Professor Wang Miao's calculation, the spacing of nanofilament can only be set at 50 centimeters. In that case, the operation must be done in the daytime, because at night, people lie down and sleep. Only during the day, whether people are walking or crouching, the height is greater than 50 centimeters. Since it resembles the Chinese instrument, the guzheng, that's why they named the operation Project Guzheng. On the day of the Judgment Day, they had installed the pillars on both sides of the canal, and installed parallel nanofilaments on the pillars, so as not to harm the other ships. Before the arrival of the Judgment Day, the nanofilament was sunk underwater. Professor Wang sits in front of the surveillance equipment. He waits nervously for the target to appear, waiting for the last boat to pass.
Raise the zither.
On the seemingly empty water, a death string has been strung, waiting silently for the Judgment Day. It's an old cruise ship converted into a giant. It stands out in the narrow canals. The pilot is carefully watching the water, but by radar and by the naked eye, the water ahead is flat, so the driver eats his gum in peace. Unbeknownst to him, death is beckoning him ahead. 2 minutes later, the ship has officially entered the red zone of death. Everything was as calm as if nothing had happened. But in fact, the front of the ship has been cut into 50-centimeter slices by the nanofilament. As the Judgment Day slowly advances, the ship began to emit sparks and noises. That's when the crew on deck felt a twinge of unease, but they couldn't see the nanofilament no matter how hard they stared. Even as he watched the lifeboat being neatly severed, they didn't realize the danger was upon them. Until the moment their bodies were cut off, they didn't even realize what was happening.